Hey, howdy, hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video is the Sword and Shield Final Thoughts video I have talked about in my last Leaf Green video. And yeah, out of the gate, I want to go ahead and say I enjoyed this game. I had fun with it. I had fun doing your classic, gym challenge as you do in Pokemon games. However, the story, I wasn't really that invested in it all. I couldn't care less, really. That's just how I felt about it. I know. If I paid more attention, I would have loved it, right? But no, to me personally, I wasn't a fan of the story. However, I did enjoy the gameplay. Classic Pokemon, turn-based battles, yada yada yada. I know that criticism is there, but I enjoyed battling. I enjoyed playing through the game, getting my gym badges, doing the championship battles. I did like how instead of the Elite Four, it was an actual tournament bracket. It wasn't just 4 monotype trainers and then one person with a crazy team, I liked how it was like actual trainers. Given you are facing Pokemon gym leaders, and they are, I guess we'll say monotype lightly, because like in before the Elite Four members, some of them are dual typing, yes, but for the most part, they focus in one type. And, you will face, there's a gym leader bracket in this, they can battle you, but I like that it was more of a tournament bracket. Yeah? And so I wanted to start off with this review saying I enjoyed the game. This isn't just this isn't your regular YouTube hate slander of Sword and Shield. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing through it. I thought it was fun. But again, the story, lackluster. And my next point here, point 2. Despite not having the entire Pokédex, like the national dex, I was fine with the Pokemon I chose and was able to have in this game. Honestly, out of another thing here, the reason why I did not get this game back when it came out was the huge National Dex drama that came out. They're like, oh, all the Pokemon aren't in the game, it's so bad, yada yada yada. And I think, at the time, I was replaying Black and White maybe, and I was like, yeah, I want to use all my Pokemon. But when I started my Let's Play, I was fine. I liked the new Pokemon, not all of them, but there were some favorites out of the new lineup, but I wasn't as torn about not having a complete national dex, because the Pokemon that were in this game I think were okay. I don't know, now that I've played through it and everything, and I've almost completed my Pokédex, I have I'm only missing the Zamazenta, the other 2 starter Pokemon, and Dragapult. That's all I'm missing, and I have 1 cartridge of the game, so I don't know, there's a lot of Pokemon you could get, so I don't understand why the whole National Dex crisis was such a big criticism of the game. I feel like that's not really warranted. I get it. Some of your favorites might have ended up in the game, but I guarantee you, that some of your favorites did. Not all of them, but some of them made it in this game. There are still Pokemon in this game that you have enjoyed using in the past and that you look forward to using in most of your playthroughs. So, again, I enjoyed the Pokemon selection. And this Pokédex is probably the easiest to complete on your own to date. I would say Black and White and the originals, but in Black and White, it's not the National Dex, it's just the Unova Dex. So, we're talking about as a whole, and I like that. I like that we don't have a National Dex and that we have a set amount of Pokemon we need to capture. It's not like, oh, you have to capture 1,000 Pokemon to complete your Pokédex anymore. It's like, alright, so here's the regional Dex, and you can also import old Pokemon. And I know Pokemon Home was a post-launch thing, so you probably weren't able to have a lot, and the DLCs had a lot of Pokemon as well. So I understand that criticism as well. That's valid, not out of the gate having it, but just playing this game, there's definitely a good amount of Pokemon that you can choose from. There's definitely favorites amongst that lineup, and new ones to call favorites as well. So I'll let that point rest there. I think I'm just talking in circles at this point about that, but yeah. The Pokédex is fine. I don't get the big whoop about the National Dex being cut. And number 3. There is way too much dialogue in this game and hand-holding. Repetitive direction giving in this game. Way too much. I feel as though instead of just repeating all the dialogue and directions of the game, if you hit the X button and go to the menu to look at your Pokemon or look in your bag, look at the map to fly, it tells you, where you're supposed to be headed to next. And then when you go on the map to look around and fly, there is a flag pointed towards the area you are needed to head to next. So I don't understand why all this dialogue, all this repetitive dialogue, all this repetitive direction giving was in the game when there is plenty of ways to know where you're supposed to go. Old Pokemon games, yeah, it was pretty easy to get lost in, but these, no, there's way too much besides people telling you where to go so that you know where you're supposed to go, basically. Like, there's no need to repeat so much directions in this game that they do and hold your hand as much as you do. I know there's younger players playing the game and all, but you gotta think, there was younger players playing the older games and got through fine. They had Braille in Generation 3 for the Reggie puzzles, and most people probably looked that up or had a strategy guide for the game, but someone figured it out, someone did it, so I don't understand why they go from that extreme to now where we are now with the constant hand-holding and direction pointing for the player when it's been fine before. I don't get it now. It's very overbearing, and that's probably one of my bigger critiques of this game is just so much dialogue. Not even just the direction dialogue, but dialogue in general. There's so much nothingness just said, and like the plot, I feel, of the game, I don't even know what it really was, except for like there was something about the Darkest Day and they were scared of the end of the world or something like that. I don't know. It wasn't very cohesive in my mind, and it was very sped up at the end of the game there. But that's my critique of, all the dialogue and hand-holding in the game. Point 4, I don't understand, this is a very, very small thing, but I don't understand the inclusion of the escape rope, let alone making it a key item, because in the base game, not including DLC, I don't know if there is any caves in the DLC or not, but there's Galar Mine 1 and Galar Mine 2. Why do we have an item called the escape rope when there's 2 caves that are fairly linear and not that hard to get through or leave? There's no dungeons inside those caves or anything. They're pretty much just a little straight pit stop throughout the journey. There's nothing to get lost in. There's no reason for an escape rope. So if you're not going to put the escape rope in the shop anymore as an item you can buy, why even give it to the player as a key item? Now that I'm saying this, I'm thinking in the Slumbering Weald, you couldn't fly out of there, so maybe you could have used the escape rope there. But I'm not going to say you could because I didn't do it. And when I think of escape rope, I think of caves. That's what it's always been known for in my experience. I've never used an escape rope anywhere else but a cave, so I don't get why there's only 2 very linear caves and we have an escape rope and it's a key item. Like, I don't get it. If you really wanted to keep it in the game that bad, should have just left it at the shop. That's my opinion, I guess. Number 5. I really wish there was more post-game and that we didn't catch the box legendary, like in what I'll call the post-game, because, it was really short. I don't really know why they did that, besides the slow down the story that they sped up towards the end. I don't really understand. But yeah, there's not really much to do in the post-game. There's you go to the Slumbering Weald, you find Swordsbert and Shieldbert, you chase them around, the Dynamax phenomena going on in all the gyms around Galar, but they're really short and easy to do, and then you catch Zacian or Zamazenta, depending on what version you're playing. I don't really understand, I really don't understand why it's so short, and why they chose to go that route. And then also keeping the box legendary in the post-game, because why are we catching Eternatus before we catch the Pokemon that's on the front of the game? You know what I mean? Like, why? Like, we could have caught Zacian or Zamazenta before Eternatus and just made the story a bit longer, make a little bit more sense instead of rushing it all at the end. Having Zacian and Zamazenta pop in and help us defeat Eternatus, catch him first, and then go back to doing the championship like nothing happened. Like, I feel like that could have been spaced out way better and been more cohesive. Because what do we learn? Zamazenta and Zacian, their moves, or at least Zacian's Behemoth Blade, does more damage to a Dynamaxed Pokemon. So why are we just using it as like a rental Pokemon to fight Eternatus, and then he just runs away and we get Eternatus for free? Like, I feel like we should have caught the box legendary first, instead of Eternatus first, no? Again, could it be just my opinion, could it be a nitpick, but I feel like we should have definitely caught Zacian before we caught Eternatus. And maybe Eternatus could have been the post-game. Because what are we doing in the post-game? We're messing with a bunch of Dynamaxed Pokemon. And Eternatus is, a huge Dynamaxed Pokemon that we needed Zacian and Zamazenta to help. So what, instead of making Zamazenta or Zacian the bad guy to Swordsbert and Shieldbert, like getting them all mad and they're about to attack them, instead of that, why don't we make Eternatus the big bad Dynamax Pokemon that they summon to prove that... I don't understand, really. I don't get the decision on that. I feel like it could have been executed better, but that's just my opinion, as all these points are. And number 6, well, Yeah, number 6. I had a decent time at the battle tower. I think in all it's 66 battles. You do 33 singles and 33 doubles. And it's fairly short compared to other battle towers where you need like a 100 win streak to get like, well, I guess a 50 win streak to get all the goodies like the master ranks and all that unlocked. But in past games you needed like 100 wins to get a starting trainer card. But having only 66 in total, and that's being like you get to Master Ball rank, you get all the rewards. I don't really understand that. I wish there was more than just 66 battles. And again, that's being generous. There's only 33 battles in each bracket before you win the final Master Ball tier. Like I feel like there's a lot more that could have been done with it, but I had a decent time doing it. It was very easy compared to Diamond BDSP's Battle Tower for sure. But I had fun. I enjoyed battling in Pokemon games. It was the first time doing a doubles like Battle Tower thing anyway for me, so I enjoyed that. Making it easier and smaller to get more people into it, yeah, that's fine, I feel. But besides that, I had fun. I had fun with it, definitely. Again, I enjoy battling in Pokemon, so it was a decent time. It wasn't totally fun, but it was decent. I did enjoy double battling. Like I said, it was my first time doing that. And like I've said before on the channel, I do plan on getting into competitive Pokemon, and doing the doubles in that, making a team for that, was very fun. I think I had Volcarona, I had Whimsicott, Kyurem, Zacian, Hydreigon, and Gastrodon. And that was pretty fun. I had a good time. And I'm looking forward to making my own team and doing more like that in the future with competitive play. On to the next point. Number 7 is the ease of Pokedex completion in this game. And I got into it a little bit earlier, so I had to stop myself. But on my one cartridge, I've caught... Well, not one cartridge. Me alone, without trading with anyone else, I've caught 390 Pokemon out of the 400 in this game. And I was able to do that through X, Y, Sun and Moon, and Black and White. But I'm pretty sure you could do all of this with just Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, Sun and Moon in this game. Oh yeah, and I used Brilliant Diamond for Ponyta and Corsola. But again, I could have used Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon for that, but I was already playing through them, so I made it that way. But yeah, it's very easy to get all the Pokemon in this game by yourself, minus the 10 that I absolutely cannot get unless I trade with someone else on a different cartridge. I think Dragapult, Zamazenta, and the 2 other starter lines that I didn't pick. Besides that, though, it was very easy to do, and I did it with just using X, Y, Sun and Moon, Black, White, and Sword. Again, I could have done it all on Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and transported them up, but I didn't. I like playing through all my old games, so it was an excuse to play through them, right? So very easy Pokedex completion. Probably the easiest to date in the franchise. And number 8 here, probably another small nitpick, but I don't know. I could be standing on the soapbox for someone when I say this. I wish there was more character customization in the form of backpacks. I don't like that my character is wearing a trunk on his back the whole time. I get to try and go for the aesthetic, you know, and all that. But I wish there was more backpack options, like a regular backpack, as we've seen in other Pokemon games. I don't get why we're stuck to having trunks. And I didn't really like any of the other trunk besides the default one, and I didn't like that one either. Like I said, it's too big. I don't understand why we had to have that one. Like, we could have had a smaller one. I think it would have been fine. It's a very nitpicky option, I know, but that's really what bothered me throughout the game. I customized my character how I wanted to, except for the backpacks. There's different backpack paints, if you will, I guess, but there's no different size one. We can't get like a regular small backpack like we've had in other games. That's again, small little nitpick. Number 9. I'm torn on the amount of legendaries in this game. We've already talked about both of them. Zamazenta, Zacian, or Zacian, I should say, and Eternatus. You're only catching 2 legendaries in one cartridge in the base game. That's pretty lackluster. When even in Gen 1 we had 4. You know, we had 3 birds and we had Mewtwo. I don't get why in this game, I don't know why, we only had 2 legendaries to catch per cartridge. You know, the box legendary and Eternatus. Very lackluster in my opinion. There's a lot to be desired there. I wish we could have had more legendaries. I don't know if that was them trying to balance out the game for a little bit while it was still fresh without the DLC Pokemon. But unless you have the DLC for this, you're not catching any other legendaries. Those are the only 2 legendaries you have access to. So, I don't know why that was a decision made on this game. If, you know, they just thought Zacian, Zamazenta were just too OP, especially Zacian. Very OP Pokemon. they just thought it was too OP, and they're like, well, we don't need another one because we have this one that's OP. You know, overpowered. I feel like someone definitely dropped the ball on the inclusion of legendaries. So that's my legendary rant there. So I guess we'll go to the final point of my criticism of this game. Again, very small criticisms, nothing too major. But my last one is, I wish all the stars were available in this game and not just the Charmander line. You know, in BDSP, we could catch all starter Pokemon from Gens 1 through 4, not having to trade to complete the Pokédex, besides, you know, the exclusives. But again, if you have Pokemon Home and all, well, I won't say that because Diamond and Pearl got Pokemon Home way too late. But, you know, you can catch all the starter Pokemon without having to trade with another person to complete the starter trios, you know? That's pretty nice. I like that. I wish this game did that with its regional ones, and I wish it included Bulbasaur and Squirtle, because why are you going to include Charmander, who's been beaten to death in, like, every game? He's, like, the poster child now. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big Charmander fan. I love Charizard. Charizard's probably, like, one of my favorite Pokemon. Charmander was my first starter Pokemon. But again, I don't understand why we only had Charmander in our starter Pokemon and not have access to Scorbunny or Grookey along with Bulbasaur and Squirtle if we're going to introduce Charmander's line in this game. Like, it just seems a little weird to me. You could have added a little more there, and we could have been able to... I wish they would have, you know, done as BDSP did. I know it came out later, but I wish they would have done it and made it to where we could catch all the starter Pokemon that are in this game, and not just be like, oh, you chose Sobble? Well, now you can't get Scorbunny and Grookey unless you trade with someone, because let's admit it, the trading whole exclusive thing, very outdated. I guess you could argue that the whole Pokemon thing is outdated, which, you know, people have plenty of times, but I enjoy the Pokemon grind, you know. But the thing I don't like is having those starters be exclusive. We should, if you're gonna let us have them, let it be post-game like BDSP did. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But let them be available in the game in some capacity. Don't be like, oh, I guess you gotta play with someone else, or, you know, get a second cartridge and start the game twice. You know, that's pretty, I don't get it. And again, having just Charmander, like, you know, people like Bulbasaur, you know, people like Squirtle, and I know they're in the DLCs, but we're talking base game here. Like, there's a lot to be sought after, I feel, in this base game. But that's really about it for all of my my critiques, my criticism of this game. Again, I enjoyed it. This is not your regular Pokemon Sword and Shield hate rant. I think on this list, I had way more positives than negatives, and my negatives, except for, like, what? My storyline and, like, graphical speech there, I think all of them were fine. They were mostly not praising the game, but, you know, being like, yeah, it was alright. Like, I enjoyed it. It wasn't terrible. And maybe people have a problem with it just being a game you could play through and have an okay time with. And I didn't have an okay time with this. I enjoyed the game, you know. But the story was lackluster. It left a lot to be desired. A lot of decisions on this game, I don't really understand why they were made that way, or why this game was done in certain ways and certain things happening with it. I don't understand. But for the most part, just playing the game through, I had a fun time. I enjoyed it. It was your regular Pokemon game. I love doing the the Gym Challenge. And again, as I said, I think it was a good thing moving away from the Elite Four and doing a championship bracket style. I like the tournament feel. It's very nice. But yeah, so that's going to be it for this Sword and Shield Final Thoughts video. Remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed today's video. Share around with your friends if you think they'd also enjoy this type of content. And as always, I've been the Pokemon Cowboy here with you today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.